Hi, in this video today we're going to look at a little used feature in Vue which is called shared layers. You'll see on the screen at the moment a little model of a container which I made, and we're going to use this to explore this feature. So this is going to be within the material editor. It's a little bit large. Shall we resize that? That seems a little bit over the top. So obviously we're going to add a layer. We have to set up the layer first, otherwise we don't have a layer that can be shared. So you can see at the moment we're just dealing with a flat grey layer, so I'm going to set it up to a ridiculous colour so that we can see exactly what we're working with. I'll make it red so we'll get a good contrast. So you can see at the moment the red completely covers the container. So I'm going to set up the alpha, a very quick setup, and I'm going to first of all click on the connector and delete it, and I'm going to add a fractal, just a simple fractal, and I'm going to tweak it a little bit so that we get some more contrast. Let's have a look at the preview. There we go. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a streaky effect. We're going to make it look like dirt running down the side of this container. So we've set up our alpha. Let's just connect it through to altitude. Now you can see the red now has some transparency in it. So remember that the white is transparent, the black is solid. And the last thing I'm going to do is just tweak the presence, so approximately halfway. You can see we get a hard line. So if we just tweak the fuzziness a little bit, we can break up that line so we get this graduated streaky finish. Remember, in this particular instance, we want this to be working on world standard. That basically means that once we share this layer, it will look different every time we apply it. So let's go ahead and save that as a shared layer. Okay, so we've got the layer. Okay, at the moment it's grayed out. Okay, so I'm going to right click on the icon and I'm going to share that layer. Okay, so it's now full. We can see it, it's fully visible, and we'll click OK. So that material is edited. I'll just very quickly load a second container in. That's going to go on top of the original. So let's move it away so we can see what we're looking at. I'll pull it out slightly so we get a better effect. But in this particular instance, I'm just going to change this color so we can see that the base layer doesn't have to remain the same. I'll make it a nasty green color because red and green should never be seen. So we're going to add a new layer, but here now we've got access to this icon, which is add a shared layer. So I'm going to click it. Now, if you have multiple shared layers in this scene, you would end up with a list of all of the different shared layers. So please be aware of your naming conventions. If you leave them all as new layer, you won't know which one you're going to add. So if I click new layer, so you can see that that layer has now been applied to the green container. So we'll just do a quick render just to show you better. Let's render that. Okay. So you can see, remember I spoke about making it a world standard. So that means that the streaking here will be different on this one. Let me just close that because the one thing that will need to be tweaked is just the presence. Again, this is just so you can get a little bit of variability within the texture. Let's make it lower down. Okay, so let's render that out again. Now you can see we've got that streaky effect. It's completely different to the first container. And again, so we can, just for the sake of clarity, show that it's not always going to be, in fact, that's not the container I want. Let me try another one, because I want one that's rotated through 90 degrees, and I know I saved one, so there we go. Okay, so now we have a bunch of containers. This one, slightly different angle. I'll drop it down to ground level, and we'll look at the material. it's grey again, and we're going to add the shared layer. There it is, and you can see again it's been applied, and we just again have to tweak the presence because we want to retain some flexibility in terms of the difference between different containers. And again, we can go back and we can change the color. Let's make this one blue. Okay. So we can see here now we've got a bunch of containers all using the same layer but getting a different effect on each one. Now once we've got this to a position where we want it, if I click on any of the containers, I can go in and change the color of one layer. So let's make this a dirty brown. Okay. And you'll see that all items which share this layer will change at the same time. Now this means that if you have cars, buildings, whatever, it could be trees with moss, for instance, we can share that layer across all of the trees instead of just keeping it on the one object. I hope you found that useful. It's a nice little trick that I don't think many people are aware of at the moment. So please let us know what you think, obviously via YouTube, Facebook, or even to just post some images in the various Facebook groups showing how you've used this particular little trick. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.